A lot of time management gurus talk about the four quadrants of activity. And one of the quadrants that we have to be really diligent about focusing on is the one that is the top right one, important, not urgent. And what's in that quadrant? It's planning activities. One of the things we know you do pretty well here at Bassett, and the reason you're on the team is you do an excellent job of doing the right activities at the right time. Today, we took a dive into that topic and we just discussed what each one of us were doing. And it was a good reminder of some of the foundational things that really are required to be successful, even more so during this crazy, chaotic time. So I'm going to review some of the highlights from those calls. And if something was shared on an earlier call, maybe not a later one, you'll pick it up here. At the end, however, these are great ideas, but they're only great ideas if you put them into practice. So as I go through the video here, hopefully it triggers some ideas, some things that you'd like to do better, maybe do more consistently, maybe get back to that you haven't been doing. So go through this and make a commitment to yourself to put this into practice today, tomorrow, this week, and we'd love to hear what's working for you. I like this phrase, planned activities crowd out unplanned activities. I think that's a good reminder of being sure we put those big rocks first into our calendar. What are some of those activities that tend to get pushed to the side but are really critical, really important? So identify those activities and make sure you block them in. That way you're more likely to do them. And when you're blocking activities, this is another common time management or activity management thing, is to block off time. One strategy I found is instead of just doing a giant block dedicated to, for example, a prospecting activity or research, split it up into 3 blocks over the course of the week. When you have 3 blocks, if you miss one, you still maybe get to 2 of those 3. Also, from a mental power, like discipline standpoint, when we look at doing a half hour of something, it's a little easier to say yes to that. So planned activities crowd out unplanned activities. What are some things that you'd like to put in your calendar that maybe you've been getting around to do that you just haven't gotten done? Great idea from Gigi that was shared, and many people grab this as their idea they want to take away, is schedule appointments after 2. So after 2, all the orders have to be in. So when you do have an appointment, you really can be focused and not distracted by some of your salons needing those orders before 2 so they get shipped out. So good, easy tip there. Maybe you're doing it unconsciously now, but maybe that's something you look at doing this week. Good reader. Thanks, Becca, for that reminder. Wayne used this and shared this with a lot of you all in the field, but a great place to capture and put all your PDFs and organize them. With COVID now, less paper is good, but a tool out there, you can download it. It's free. Kara told us about trying to keep track of all the education and the times. She just takes a screenshot, a picture, and she keeps an album on her phone, and it makes it easy to access. And she can also text it out or email it out to people when they're looking for that information. So good idea there. Next one here, have a plan to plan. So when are you planning? Is it the morning? Is it the evening? Commit to it. So right now, just sit back. When is my planning time? For the most part, I'm sure you say, well, I do it at the end of the day, or I do it in the morning. Commit to one of those times and block off the time to do it. But sometimes we don't get around to planning because we don't have a plan in place to start planning. So reflect on what's been working for you, when you have the right energy and focus for planning, and commit to that. Daily and weekly goals. This was shared by many of you. Dawn, you come to mind because I know you're fanatical about daily, and you even mentioned you get it down to the stylist level, what your goals are. What I like about goals is they're kind of a true north, and they help ensure that where we want to go, where we're going. So align your activities with your goals. So if you think about, hey, I'm getting busy or distracted, you can take a look at what you've been doing or what you plan on doing and confirm that they're aligned with where you want to go. And you can quickly tell, oh, spending 30 minutes on Facebook probably isn't going to help me achieve my daily sales goal today. Now, if it's business related, yeah, it's a different story. But we often don't have time for things because we end up letting distractions and time wasters creep into our day. So daily and weekly goals, again, reconfirm that. And Ray shared how, if is the way he put it, if they want to play my reindeer games, and they're on board, he'll actually take their goals and he'll type them out and print them out and get them to sign them. So they're sales goals, but in addition to that, some other business goals. It's pretty simple. It's very short and sweet and to the point. And what he says is he'll take that out to, number one, show them progress, especially if they're doing well. It gives them motivation, like, hey, yeah, you're making progress, and makes them even more committed. Or if they are going sideways or they're making some decisions that conflict with what their goals are, he can bring that out as well and say, hey, help me understand, is this really in line with your goals? Few more here. So a couple of practical tips. Will shared with us an app called Route For Me. And I know we all talk about hard routes, not you, Gigi, but having a route really, you guys know all the reasons why you want to do that. But from a logistical standpoint, Will says this has really been useful for him. It is a paid app. However, he's used it for the last 3 months. And now that he's got his route dialed in, he'll stop paying for it because he's created the route and has a good, efficient way to get around to his accounts. But think about that. If you're, instead of driving 2 miles to your next account, if one's a half mile away, but it just kind of gets sideways. You get behind the wheel and all of a sudden you don't even realize you're bouncing around and putting a lot of extra miles on and just extra time. So you might choose to invest in this for the next few months. And this might confirm that the route you have set up is perfect. Or it might say, hey, I need to readjust this. I could be a little bit more efficient. Think about it. Over time, if you can fit in 2 more sales calls every other week, add that up over the year, that's a big difference. And speaking of routes, Ray, you shared something I thought just from a visual standpoint made a lot of sense. Is at the beginning of the year, you take all your file folders out. Many of you mentioned that, another time management tip. And you placed it by day, and you could visually see how many people are on the route for each day. And if a day is a little bit heavy, can you move them to another day? And if you just have too many, hey, who have earned the right to be on your route that you're going to service? And who is it time to just part ways with? They're not committed, and it's just not, a good investment of your time. So routing, we all have touched on that. We heard various ways to take notes and keep notes. Kara has the notebook where you can fold from the top, and she just keeps notes on everything, orders. It allows her to go back, confirm things. And Colin, you have an old school notebook you just flip through. Others are using their cell phones, so the Apple Notes catalog. So what we found is everyone keeps notes. It helps them keep things on track. And we all know that our memories are really great. Unfortunately, they tend to be short. So a couple other practical techniques as it relates to email and electronics. So I wrote this down, the 2-minute rule. If you open up an email and you can do it in 2 minutes or less, take care of it, get it off your plate. I think you guys are really good at this, but every once in a while we get sucked into some emails that are really not important at the time, or are going to obviously take more than 2 minutes. Better off to just push that to the side, address it when you can block time out to do that. So when you look at an email, before you even open it up, decide maybe, hey, is this a 2-minute one? I'm going to open it up and get rid of it. Or, hey, I know this one isn't urgent. I need to address this. It does require some additional time. Just have that maybe during your end of the day time or in the morning time that you can address it. So that way you're not constantly opening and closing emails all day long. And when you do that, it seems pretty innocent, right? Oh, it's an extra minute. But every time you open up your email, you look at it again, it takes away brain power. And you guys are at that level where your improvements in time management are going to come, down to saving a minute here, 45 seconds here. It's not big chunks of time. It's these little time robbers, these little bites that get taken out, but they get taken out frequently and they add up over time. The email auto rule takes some time with some of these emails that can be automatically sent to a folder. That way you don't even see them in your email feed and you're not getting distracted by them. Because sometimes when we're tired or we're really just kind of towards the end of the day, a quick little distraction. And again, that distraction can lead to 3 to 4 minutes and that adds up at the end of the week. So take some time and watch a YouTube, figure out how to set up some auto rules and just put those into those buckets and review them at the time that makes sense. And the other thing we touched on today was what not to do. What are some of those time wasters? And it's not that you're, hopping in your car and hopping on Amazon for 45 minutes, or are you, right? But is that your distraction? What if you just remove the Amazon app from your phone? Make it harder to actually go on that. And you'll find that you'll stop doing it and you'll do it when you really, really need to. I shared with the group, I removed Facebook. I'm no longer, I didn't get rid of my account or anything, but I got it off my phone and it sounds silly. It's been life-changing. That as well as all the news apps and things like that. Those things I got rid of and now I've saved a ton of time. And by not being on my phone, I'm much less distracted. And then another very helpful thing that I've found for me is turn off all your notifications. And if you begin to miss one, we'll add it back in, but just shut them down. That is just going to rob time from you as well as in the form of focus. So if you did carry your phone into a call, then in that buzzes, your phone buzzes or vibrates, it mentally is disengaging you from whatever you're doing. You're wondering who that area is. And you might say, I'm not going to pick it up, but it still robs you of concentration. Some of you mentioned, I just leave it in the car and I carry in my iPad. So that might be what you do, but get rid of the notifications because most websites and apps default to have you turn them on. And you might just say yes, but this is actually a huge distraction and time waster. And then lastly, waiting to the end of the day to do everything. Kara, I thought you made a great point today, and many people confirmed that you do this as well. When you get done in a salon, go out to the car, get everything done, place the order in iSales, etc. Follow up on anything that you plan on needed to do, but get efficient, knock it out right then and there. We all know, I think working with newer DSCs, newer to the business, sometimes they'll wait to the end of the day. Oh, I'll just do it then. I want to get to my next salon. And what happens is they have so much built up. And in fact, a 2 to 3 minute task in your car it turns into a 5 or 10 minute task later in the day because you're trying to remember and you've had several calls go on. So if you're not doing this, or maybe this is something you want to tighten up your game a little bit, when you finish a salon call, get it done, complete anything that they've asked you to do, as well as begin planning what your next call will look like, what you're going to follow up on. So that way, when this comes around 2 weeks later, you've already told your future self what to do. You don't have to think about it. It makes that planning process go that much better. All right, so let's wrap it up. Good ideas, simple stuff. It's about what we do. What's one thing you are committing to doing even better this week? One thing that's going to make you just a little bit more efficient. One thing that's going to help the best version of you show up. So I hope you found something useful here. Can't wait to talk to you guys on Monday and hear all the success you're having. Take care.